founder and firebrand of the Uprising Spark, and there are street performers playing in my street right now. I'm in Colombia, and this is what's happening in the pandemics.
Hi, I'm Kristen Tetsey, author of The Age of the Child, and I am sitting between two moving boxes. I'm just in Connecticut, so we don't have any street performers.
Hi, I'm LeNora. I'm the creator of The Bitchy Bookkeeper, and we are the three founding non-mothers of Childfree Girls. And I'm just in my office in my peaceful house in Canada. So welcome to part 2 of our 1 year anniversary special. 1 year anniversary special? Yeah, one year anniversary special. It's been a year since we've founded Childfree Girls, and 24 episodes in the can, 9 episodes on the podcast if you're listening there. What a year it's been.
In the can sounds like on the toilet.
It does.
Well, in industry speak, in the can,
I know.
Got and put in film.
It's just such an interesting choice.
It is. I don't know. It just came out. I don't prepare this stuff ahead of time. It just happens. Okay.
No, I like it. I want to keep that.
Okay.
I want to keep this conversation.
I want to keep all this.
We should just have fun and talk. I've been listening to podcasts lately, and we don't do enough of this just bullshitting.
That's true. That's true. Well, we've been doing some serious episodes previously.
I think if you listen to our first episodes, we've come so far in terms of just getting more comfortable with this. At the beginning, we were like super serious and everything was super stuffy, and now it's like,
and who talks next?
Yeah, exactly. I know. Well, the funny thing is I had never done, I did one podcast prior to this, and that was Isabel's, and then that's what started this whole thing, like this chain reaction in a way. And I had no idea how to moderate. I was scared of moderating. I had no idea how to interview people because I like to talk, but I'm not I don't ask questions like in an interview style. So I had no idea what to expect. So going through some of the clips was like, oh my God, first of all, sit still.
I just used the bar. I just used the visual bar until I was on either one of you or whoever was on the show. If it was me, I was like, skip.
Well, the funny thing is I picked a lot of stuff that you said because I thought you had very smart things to say. So, and the first few episodes, well, actually a lot of the episodes, I'm not wearing a wig yet. So I notice how self-conscious I am when I'm watching playback. I can just see it all over my face. And then that shifted a lot when the wig thing happened. So yeah, the earlier episodes, they're good. They're good. I like our content. Personally, I have so many issues with myself. Whatever, I'm improving. Plus, we did have an agreement that we would never bash ourselves because, when you complain about something, Isabel and I see it completely different, and that goes for all of us, right? Like we're all our harshest critics. So,
absolutely. So about the first part that was, we aired before this one of this episode. Of this anniversary special. I would like to know what was one of your favorite moments, of the favorite moments that we actually put out there.
So my favorite of the favorite moments?
Yeah.
I found myself having a hard time. I was looking at the antenatalist video and the F-list video with Amanda Sukanik. And she says so many brilliant things, and she's so just eloquent. She has a really good, she talks a lot better than I do. And so it was hard to find one little thing of hers to isolate.
Oh man. Well, as far as favorite, it's not so much favorite episode because every time we air, I'd be like, this is the best one we've done. And then every single week I would tell you guys the exact same thing. But our episode 24, the one with the child free through the decades, that blew, we've had great interviews, we've had great conversations, and that one, maybe because it's so fresh, but that one just opened my heart like a bazillion times bigger. The conversation with the 7 of us from age 16 to 65, I want that one to live on forever because that was such a cool moment. Even just the recording, before and after, and just how that all came together, that was awesome. But the favorite moment is our cunt moment, which is seriously that is hilarious. I don't know, just the way that all worked out. The 3 of us each said cunt within a minute, and it was fabulous. Oh, and our Halloween episode, which needs way more love than it has. That one was brilliant.
True.
Seriously brilliant, and none of it was planned. So I think
Sorry, go ahead.
No, this is the one thing that I think many people don't realize is that whole Halloween episode was completely made up on the spot. Like we didn't have any scripts. We just had like a character each, and we just played off each other's comments.
we did.
And it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
It was. And because like Kristen is such a straight person, like as far as the lines that you deliver, like I can't keep a straight face worth shit. But
Well, I was
Kristen,
just gonna say that when I caught a part today that you were hilarious because we were just having a conversation and your mouth starts crinkling because you're gonna laugh and then you go off screen.
which happens a lot. I mean, that's the thing, like because you deliver it just so brilliantly and so seriously. And I'm a person that takes everything seriously, even when I'm not being serious. And I just, and I was like, I can't handle this. I mean, it was so good though. But then you just kind of feel it into my bizarre character that I had going on. Yeah, and then Isabel was just like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, the stuff that you guys came up with in that episode just blows my mind still. Doesn't blow me, it blows my mind still.
You were that character though. You just really fully embraced your blonde, bombshell, selfish,
That is
woman.
how
I mean, you were so good at that. You were hilarious.
But that's how I wish I were in real life. I wish I were, because I am actually quite serious and business-like in real life. I mean, I'm this, but like, yeah, and that was the first time I wore a wig on the show, and that adds, that always amps it up. But that's how I wish I could be, except that I actually don't want to be like that, because that's a bit too much. That's what's really going on in the head.
Yeah, I love that episode too. I think for me, I mean, I don't have like a favorite episode. There's a lot of every single episode that I can definitely like say this is amazing. And like you said, LeNora, every time we aired something new, it was like, that feeling of just putting this out there and having people listen to it and having people or watch it if it's on YouTube and then comment or send us emails, because we get a lot of emails as well from people after they watch our episodes. But I can think of a moment that for me was very significant. Is the word? Significant in the way that this was the first time I ever heard a mother say something like this, and it was the episode with
Natalie Fikes.
When she said that she wanted to have kids to fill in a void, and we asked her, did it fill the void? And you can watch that clip right now.
Did it fill the void?
No! No! The void got filled when I sat there and said, what caused the void? That's how I got rid of the void.
That was a good one.
That was an awesome one. And the thing about that episode is we really did not know what to expect with her because she's not a child-free person. We brought her on because she said some controversial things. And we weren't planning, like we had no intention of steering the conversation towards motherhood or anything like that. It just naturally progressed, which is one thing that's really cool to discover doing this show, is that how our conversations just kind of naturally veer in a way that at the end of it, you're like, wow, that happened. Okay, cool. Because you don't really know, especially when you're not familiar with the guest and you're not sure how, especially that one, that, I had no idea what to expect in that episode, but it turned out pretty good. So many of you, well, I don't know how many of you know this, but we actually have a fourth member of Childfree Girls, and you see her every single day if you follow us on social media, and her name is Lucille, and she's our logo / mascot / the thing that started this all. Yeah, her name's Lucille. So, Kristen, why did we go with Lucille?
She was inspired by, in the Age of the Child, there's a scene where there are protesters on a corner holding signs saying, think of the children, what about the children, safe sex, abortion kills children, whatever. They're all very protesting in favor of concern for children. And a car stops at a red light, and this woman jumps out. She's wearing a mask with a gray seal face on it. She jumps out of the car, abandons a baby essentially at the feet of these protesters, so very concerned about child welfare. And then she gets back in her car and drives away, because you think anybody who really cares that much about kids would be the ones who would take care of it if you don't want it. And like they've made it impossible to basically not have children, what with the abolishing of birth control. So she's like, okay, I'm just gonna leave this kid with you guys. They start walking away from the baby because they really want nothing to do with it. They just want to protest. But she's wearing the seal mask because gray seals are known for abandoning their young. That's just, I mean, they don't do it just on a whim. They do it if there's danger, they'll just kind of take off and, good luck, kids. But that was where the seal idea came from, because it's not a fiercely maternal animal.
Since the pandemic, Lucille has been very responsible, and now she wears a mask in all of our memes, if you are paying attention. She sets an example for us all.
She does.
It's a reminder, guys, wear a fucking mask.
Before we started this, I was really trying hard to stop being angry. Someone who works with my husband, not very closely with him, but someone who works in the same building, recently tested positive for COVID. And it's very unlikely that my husband got it from him, because they do practice a lot of distancing. And if there's going to be any proximity work necessary, they put masks on. But the chance that he interacted with someone closely, who then interacted with someone who then interacted with my husband and might get him sick, and then who also might get me sick, like either of us being sick is not something I want, got me so fucking mad at these people who are politicizing the mask thing and making it this big, stupid, imaginary argument that if you wear a mask, you're against freedom, and if you don't wear a mask, you're a patriot. And all of these people, not all of them, I mean, some people get sick by accident, or it's not even wearing a mask, like two people wearing a mask, they're being careful, but they get it. I don't know how. But you have to think that the people not wearing the masks because freedom, but really because of inconvenience, are the ones who are making it so bad in this country and responsible for these crazy rising numbers. And I hate every single one of those people so much, because it's just so irresponsible and it's so reckless, and it's like driving drunk. I mean, my inability to drive drunk inhibits my freedom to drive drunk. I may or may not kill anybody, so it shouldn't be illegal. Like, it's just so brainless, and it makes me so angry, and I'm just gonna forget that I'm feeling angry right now and get back into our good vibe.
Point though. I mean, it's an excellent point. Masks are now mandatory in Calgary. That's new. In public indoor places, it's mandatory that you'll have to wear a mask. So they hand them out at the drive-thru for free here. You go to a drive-thru. I went because I had my nephew staying with me for a week, and we went through the Tim Hortons drive-thru, and I said, "Can I have a package of masks?" And they gave me 2 packages of masks. So now I have 16 masks in my car.
That's great.
Because there's like 8 in a package, and so they hand them all out to everybody. So there's like literally no excuse. I wanted to mention Lucille's her appearances in the water, because I think they're hilarious. And the funny thing is okay, so we all take responsibility for all the content that we put out. It's all a collaboration. But some of us handle the Photoshop and some of us handle the words. And me, I didn't realize that Lucille was in water anytime, because normally she's in the right-hand corner. She's in the right-hand corner. And I don't know how many weeks went by before I realized that, oh, that's water. I'm like, well, why is she in the middle of this meme? Or why is she in the bathtub? Like, I did not even think about it. And half the time I didn't even know, like, I seen the images, and then I didn't even realize that was water. And then, Kristen, you said something in one of our chats about how the seal loves the water. And then I was like, oh my God, she's in the water, duh. I don't know how many weeks went by until I noticed that. And we've always kind of wondered, if people would ask about the seal. and only one person has.
I know.
And recently. Oh no, they commented that the seal was wearing the mask. And I
That
think
was
that,
because it was changed on Facebook, though, because it was the big profile picture that changed. So she's kind of in your face there.
that's true.
You'd think people would notice her little masked head in the corner, though.
Well, maybe they do and they just don't comment, because who comments on logos? But she's more than a logo. She is our fourth member. So she's important. She plays a vital role in our group.
She looks at people. I mean, it's like sometimes she'll be angled up to
Yeah, no,
dumb
she's
things.
got personality. Totally got personality. Right, her backstory.
I think she's 22.
22.
Yeah.
And how many kids has she abandoned?
5.
But now she's officially 23, or she's officially child-free now, because she realized she has a choice, so she's not doing that anymore.
They were quintuplets, though. So.
Oh, okay.
It was just one abandonment of many pups at once.
Fair enough. How many times has she been married?
4. The serial monogamist. Very respectable.
Okay. Yeah, so that's Lucille. Is there anything else that we want to say about Lucille? Except for the fact that you guys need to show her some love, because she's seriously awesome.
I'm awesome.
So now comments. We've had some awesome emails, DMs, comments, awesome ones and even not so awesome ones, which actually I didn't even think to look up, but we don't need to bring any attention to those people. Is there any specific comments that each of you love that you want to publicly show your devotion to?
God, I can think of so many. But I mean, the ones that I like the most in general are the comments when somebody tells us, like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you bringing this up? What's the use? You want to be child-free and not have kids? Good for you, but shut the fuck up. And we've had a couple of those. And I like when that conversation turns into, we're going to tell you why we need to, speak up and normalize this, because this is a choice. And then having that person say, oh, you know what, you're right, I hadn't thought about it that way. Those to me are like the best. And we had one very recently in our Instagram account. Every single time that somebody tells us, why are you doing this? And we can show them, like, open their minds to different perspective. I love those.
Sometimes I like it when people come on and just because abortion or pro-choice or something is in the hashtag section, they will find our account. And then even though the image we're sharing on Twitter has nothing to do with abortion, they'll say, but you're killing babies. And I realize it's just trolling, and I know that it's nonsensical to have conversations with those people, but I think it's important to have conversations with them, because you never know who is reading it, who believes the same thing, but isn't as staunch in their beliefs. They might be open-minded, they might be teachable. And so those conversations, I think, are important to have, at least to a certain degree, until it gets ridiculous and then you end the conversation. But as long as there's a little bit of an exchange, I like that. But I think my favorite, the one that's my favorite is not my favorite because it was so funny or positive or encouraging, but because it was so critically devastating, because it illustrated what so many people think. And it was the woman who commented something like, I'm dreading having children. And I don't even know if that was a comment on our Instagram, or I remember it was somewhere in our sphere. And I'm dreading having children. I mean, that just says so much. It says children are inevitable. It says I don't have a choice. It says I've been raised to believe that as soon as I get married, that's my life. And that, I think, is every reason that I am interested in talking about all this stuff at all.
I agree. I think for anyone that's watching this or listening to this, like, even comments like that, whether you have your name attached or you can make it anonymous or even DM, like, those comments are valuable to send out, because you are saying something that more people are thinking than we could imagine, than we don't know. And maybe people who are now parents who still have that thought, because commenting in a public space, because we don't have private groups, we are very public. It can be daunting because, your name is attached, or you're not sure the judgment or pushback that you're going to get for leaving comments like that. But they're helpful in so many ways. And like you said, Kristen, it inspires us to continue these conversations because of those comments. I even think recently of the teenager who we had on our Childfree Through the Decades episode. That all started when she sent us a DM or commented on our story saying that because she was so young and she didn't feel her opinion about not wanting kids was valid. And then, we had a couple other comments, and all those comments spawned that episode, right? So it's even the ones where you're like, yeah, shut up, why are you talking about this? They all play an important role in inspiring child-free content. I was having this conversation with someone on one of my other accounts, and we were talking about, sometimes you just kind of run out of ideas to blog about or whatever, especially when it comes to being child-free. And we were talking about how scrolling through the comments is really helpful, because you can see, even just innocent comments or off-the-cuff comments, you can see what people are thinking through the comments. It's like market research. And maybe then there's something that you can personally address in the form of a blog, or something that you can bring from your own personal experience. So really, all comments are helpful if you look at it that way. At the beginning of all this, I hated the troll comments. I hated the anti-abortion comments because I'm pro-choice, and I didn't want to fight with people, so I would tag Kristen and have her comment for me, because I'm like, I don't want to bring that energy into my space. But as time has gone on, I've become more comfortable and confident in addressing that. First of all, pinpointing, is this just a troll, or is this someone that actually genuinely wants to say something and we can have a conversation about it? So that has really helped. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, and you can kind of decipher quickly, is this worth my time or is it not? I'm not in the mood to have that conversation every day. But sometimes I'll go into Kristen fighting mode and go, okay, let's tackle this. Or I'll be up on Twitter. That one time on our Childfree Twitter, Childfree Girls Twitter, you had commented, and then someone commented back, and you were asleep, and so it was 11:30 my time. And I went on the Childfree Girls Twitter, and there was something about the way this pro-life person said or worded her comment, and I just felt rage. I just wanted to stand up and defend the child-free community, and I couldn't sleep.
Angry one, wasn't she? She was
she was the one with all caps. Yeah, and so I think for an hour I stayed up and I responded, because I just, and normally I don't do that, but there was just something inside of me that was really pushing for me to do this, and I wasn't going to ignore how I felt. And so I did. And then eventually she just blocked us, even though she's the one that started the conversation, I do believe. So there's moments like that where I've come into feeling more comfortable in having those conversations, and I don't get angry back. I was just, making it peaceful, because I tend to do that. I want to diffuse the situation and actually have a conversation where both points are allowed to be made. She wasn't having any of that, so then I just had fun, not answering her question on purpose, but promoting, a nice child-free lifestyle. And then eventually she just went block. So, comments are useful. You know what? Never feel ashamed to comment, because they inspire many things, and that they're helpful to all child-free content creators and people who are just scrolling through and have no idea what to say or no idea how to feel. And anything that you can contribute to the conversation is worthwhile. So we appreciate all of it.
Yeah, I have to say that you reminded me, this is one of the pieces that we actually put out in our blog about how sometimes we get comments about being too defensive about our choice. We're really angry about being child-free. So because we're super angry, we're just putting out all this, rage out there. And it's not really that. It's just the fact that people don't seem to understand that this personal choice of ours doesn't really affect them in any way. And I can say personally that I have learned all this time, all this year that we've been doing this, to manage those kinds of comments that before I would get defensive. because it's you know, it's my personal life. What is it to you that I have children or not? And I think just the flow of conversations that we've had, the three of us, and when we get these types of comments, and just seeing, for example, Kristen from the beginning being so active in answering these type of comments, but in a way that will open, you know, conversations to whoever actually wants to have a conversation.
Except for that one time.
Except for that one time.
Well, that other time led to a big
Yeah.
whatever episode that was.
Yeah. But in general, I would say 99% of the time. And I've learned from that. I've learned a lot from, you know, from you guys in that regard, because before I was like, I couldn't take the trolls and the haters hating, you know, but now it's like, you can say, throw whatever you want at us. We'll just try and understand where you're coming from. And if we don't agree, well, we won't agree.
I think that is, I think that's awesome, because, and I echo completely what you said, because I generally don't feel that tense energy that it's coming towards me personally. I think in the beginning, and that's when, you know, when you start social media, like public social media, when you're really wanting to say something, don't make me laugh, Kristen, in the middle of doing this. You know, when you're trying to talk about something that means something to you, and you get those comments and it feels like a personal attack. And in the beginning, you know, it's very easy to go, well, hey, you're on my page. Like, I'm sharing my life. Why are you attacking me? And I get that. And that's the reason why I know that I could not have done this 10 years ago. You know, in my 20s, I just wasn't in that space to be on social media and say what I really, really wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, timing is everything, and it just happened that I'm at a point in my life where I get over things a lot faster. And something that someone would have said to me 2 years ago when I was just starting blogging, now I use it as fuel to make something out of it. And I'm past that point now. So, and that's progress, people.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's for anyone that's starting anything, especially in the child-free community. You work through it, and after a while, you just go, whatever.
Yeah, but I think Maxine Trump actually said something in that interview that we had with her regarding how there's strength in numbers. And, you know, having a tight child-free community is important, but there is even more strength when you're actually doing collaborations like this. And if, I mean, whoever is listening to this and you're thinking about doing a collaboration, go for it. It's the best way to support each other and bounce off ideas of each other, and just put all this content out there that, thankfully, because we've received so much feedback, we know that there are people out there who are actually like listening and saying, this is useful. Thank you for putting this out there.
You know, it's really funny when you mention collaboration, because before I met you two, I remember I had this moment. I was sitting on my couch and I was writing, and I was reading something about Elton John and Bernie Taupin's collaboration, their 50-year history of songwriting and music making. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, it would be so cool to just meet somebody and have this collaboration that would just that would make something that went on to be something, and just be a part of that. And I've never been a collaborator. I've always been a solo person. And then, like, shortly after that, I got this email from Kristen. Did not think anything about it. She wanted to send me her book, and I said, sure, it sounds interesting. And then I read that, and you and I started talking. And then you brought up this idea for Instagram, and I was like, let's make it a collab. And you're like, oh, we don't have to. I'm like, no, because I really wanted to. I was like, hey, maybe I could try this collaboration thing. Like, I had no idea. And then I met you, Isabel, on your podcast. And then all that happened, and I was like, I need to wish for more things. Because I just remember thinking it was, like, I don't know why this works, but it does, because we're all very different. And that's probably why it works, because we do different things and we have different strengths, and it's, you know, it's easy.
We got lucky.
We did. No, that's the thing.
Because I was watching some reality show. It was somebody who had I think it was Iyanla. Is that how you say her name? Fix My Life.
Oh yeah.
But there were three, I think it was that show, there were three women on it who had a radio, like a podcast going. One of them was in charge of the website. One of them was in charge of something else, then something else. And they didn't all work together. And there was a power struggle, and people would just not contribute and then expect a lot of recognition or something. Like it's really hard, I think, to find not only a collaboration where you all know your duties, I guess, and do your best to fulfill them, but also cover for each other when someone is having a weird week. And I think we've all had a weird week a couple of times.
Yeah.
But also, none of us is very touchy. Like, there's not easy offense taken, and there's not bickering, and there's not hurt feelings. You know, I think we all have a professional enough history to have developed something of a thick skin, and also just an ability to recognize this is just a conversation. No one's trying to be snarky. You know what I mean? Because that can happen a lot, I think, with women.
Totally. Because I've thought about that, not overthinking it, but I'm like, man, it's very easy. And I think because for me, in my mindset is that this is something that's professional for me. I'm not saying this is a professional podcast. I mean, not that it isn't, but no one's paying me to do this. But in my mind, I'm building something that I want it to be seen as professional in the sense that this is what I do. Like, I don't have a day job. I don't. I'm building a lifestyle brand, and this is part of it, even though it's a separate entity. So I come at it from a business point of view. Like, you know, we did the whole contract thing before. We talked about things before we started. Also knowing that this is, we kept it casual, but in the sense that it's really not casual. This is like a part of our professional lives in a way. And also too, I like the
take pride in it. You should take
well,
pride.
yes,
in
100%.
Professionally, you know, regardless of whether you're getting paid for it. If you're going to do it, try to do it well.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And I've always gotten that vibe from you two. Also because I know you both have accomplished other things in your life. And see, that's the thing. I don't like talking about something and no follow through. I hate that. That's why I rarely work with other people, because and you, like, the three of us, like, it was really evident in the beginning that, okay, no, this, like, we don't know where exactly it's going to go, but the fact is we've always gotten shit done. And also too, we've all had weird weeks. I love that. And that's another thing too, is like, okay, there's one or two of you to cover my back and the other way around. Like, now I'm like, all right, you guys have to fall apart. That's fine. I can cover it. Like, we've all had to do that. And that's a really nice element, and very lucky. Cause I think also too, because you guys are in different countries from me. So you're not showing up at my house. You know, like, if we all worked in like the same house.
I would
like,
never come over. Never.
No. That's the other thing too. I mean, I think that has something to do with it, because we all have our own lives. Like, Kristen's not, Kristen would never text me you would text me at 3 a.m. because it's 5 o'clock your time. You would be up.
Yeah.
So, but you know what I mean? Like, there's no one's invading each other's spaces, which is, for me, that's really important. I'm not a drop by to visit, or, hey, you know, we address what needs to be addressed, but there's space. And so that's fun.
Yeah. And we have mentioned this before. We have, I mean, in other episodes, we have the three of us, we haven't met in real life. It all started online, and it's still online. And one day we want to, of course, meet each other, like, in real life.
When the borders reopen.
Because
Because I think this year we were talking about, okay, well, 2020 we could meet, but clearly that's not going to happen. But you know, when it does, though, I mean, this is the only time I would actually intentionally travel with someone. I would travel somewhere to meet you two, and we could get a vacation rental for a week. And then I'll cook for you, because I'm a good cook. So, and you guys don't really like to cook, so I could do that. And then we could do a live show. We could do like actually do a show. That is, for me, would be so much fun, is to do a show with the three of us in the same room.
That would be fun.
That we would promote the hell out of that for like 2 weeks before. Be like, hey, we're gonna be in the same room finally for the first time ever.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
And then we go on to talk on world stages when the borders reopen. Or we can just do it Zoom too, that works. We have to drag Kristen on stage. See, that's the thing. I also like to, because I don't say, well, Kristen, you're a big dreamer thinker. But I get that more vibe from Isabel. Like, you're like me, like, we think, like, we want to be superstars.
You and Isabel do?
And, well, Isabel and I do. In
Yeah.
our various fields.
Right, of course.
Yeah. But we have to drag Kristen on stage with us because, you know.
I want to be a superstar. I just want to do it without having to be one. Like, I want my books to be known. I want people to read them and enjoy them, but I don't want to have to stand on a stage to talk about them. Like, I don't want to be known. I want my writing to be known.
Yeah. I always thought that I wanted to create something that would be known, but I have to be honest with myself. I also want to be a known person too, but for a good thing. Like, if I am famous within the Childfree community, that's more than enough for me. But for doing something good and contributing in a good way. I don't want to be known just for
getting pregnant.
Oh, the Childfree girl who got pregnant, LeNora.
No, in my dream it
That
was
would be
Kristen.
awful, but it would be hilarious.
No, it would not be.
No.
It would not be that. Well, we'd be documenting my abortion. Just saying. But the dream I had was that you were the pregnant one, Kristen, and you said, and in my dream you said that you would continue to do the show, and we were like, how's that gonna work?
Because, as I've explained in fact, child-free parenthood or parenting by circumstance, child-free is a state of mind.
Well, I really want to say something snarky right now. You guys know exactly.
You read The Age of the Child. You know that Catherine was child-free the whole time.
She was.
No matter what.
But
So,
I don't believe that. You know, I was reviewing our parenting by circumstance episode. I was kind of harsh in that episode, I realized. So I really apologize if I've ever offended
I
anyone.
don't think you were too harsh at all.
Well, I just, yeah.
I mean, you were opinionated. I mean, you have a very strong opinion. That's
Yes,
it.
and I still do, and I still stand by what I say. I don't think there's that's actually a good question to ask you too. Okay, so personally, there is nothing that I know of that I've said on this show so far that I take back or regret. I believe I can say I can stand by what I've said so far on the show. Is there anything that you've noticed, like as you review the videos or go back and recap, that you kind of changed your mind about, or that you kind of go, ooh, I kind of take that back? Is there anything that you can think of, either of you?
Nothing comes to mind to me. I mean, I think, no, maybe there are some things that I could have said in a better way, in a more loving way, especially the first episodes. But it doesn't mean that I'm changing my mind about what I said, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean it. I just, maybe sometimes I can come across a little bit harsh. That's maybe the only thing, but no, nothing comes to mind.
I think there are things I say that I don't say well. And like, I'll say things that almost come out as the exact opposite of what I mean or something, but I catch those in editing and I get them wiped out.
For me, when I think back of at that episode, what is it, 3 or 4, maybe it's even 5, the parenting by circumstance, where I came out of the gate, because I was moderating that episode, and I came out of the gate swinging like, okay, if you've ever had children 10 years ago, if you have 10 children 10 years from now, I was like on this massive sermon, like, you cannot, if you're a step parent, you are not child free. And just the way I said it, I was like, holy crap, LeNora, take it down a couple notches. And I mean, like I said, I still stand by my intent behind that comment. But having done this for a year now and have been more involved in various conversations and understanding people's backgrounds and stuff, I realized, okay, like, there's the term gatekeeper, and that came off as a very gatekeeper. I sounded like a gatekeeper in that moment. And that's one of the cool things, though, about the progression of doing this for a while. And again, a year from now, I hope to be like miles better than where I am now as every year progresses. But going, okay, I can, like, I've never been a seriously empathetic person, and I've learned to be so more in the last 2 years doing child-free content. Just because
without having a kid, you learned empathy without a child?
I know!
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
You're getting bingoed right now.
Wow.
So, next question. What happens when your Childfree Girls co-star Bingo Sailor on the show? Is that considered a bingo, though?
No, I was being sarcastic about this.
Yeah, no,
one.
I know. Yes, you can learn empathy without having children. But I think that's a moment. Oh, there is something I regret not saying, and that comes with our anti-abortion Christian conversation. There's many things that I regret not saying in that episode.
That episode was harsh.
Oh, I think that was kind of a waste of time, but it's amusing to have on our feed.
I think it's important to not be, well, I think both of you have probably said it's important to not be an echo chamber. You know, we're not, I think having those conversations and trying to understand why people think the way they do and where they're getting their perspective, I think is important.
That's true.
I agree. And I think it was just, I remember when Jamin logged off and the three of us just looked at each other and went, that was exhausting. I think we were all just like so mentally tired of, wanting to understand this person who had absolutely no interest in understanding us. So
and also too, unfortunately, he didn't really have anything to say except for the rhetoric that he kept repeat. Like, it was the same thing over and over again. Like, there was actually no conversation. Well, there was a little bit when we asked him like more personal questions, but overall there wasn't a lot said. So yeah, it was. And I mean, I just remember my facial expressions, like the first 10 minutes, I swear to God, like my face just blew up. Like the anger was being held in my neck. And I just remember it like expanded to like, whoa, because I was so mad. I was so furious listening to
so much preaching and not talking.
Yeah.
So much preaching. And so I think what exhausted me most was it was almost like having a small talk conversation where nothing is being said and you're just trying to stay engaged. And so when he was really saying stuff and really pulling from his own self and talking, that was interesting to me. But as soon as he started rambling off Bible stuff and preachy stuff and commandments and thou shalts, it was just like trying to listen so hard to make sure I didn't miss a nugget of his own mind in there to be able to respond to that, because I feel really stupid when I just kind of tune out and then someone's done talking and I'm like, uh-oh. I should respond.
Because when he did talk about, because we asked him about, how he would handle a friend or someone close to him being in a situation where they'd have to make a decision. Like when we had that conversation, at least we got a human response, like his own, like you said, from your own mind, his own mind response. And then it, went back to his Sermon on the Mount.
Was there an episode, because we all went into this with whatever experience we had, and LeNora, you were just talking about learning things through this process. So was there anything that you learned from a particular guest or even just in a conversation we had?
I keep coming back to that episode. What?
Isabel's like, no, I've known everything all along.
No, I was waiting for LeNora to talk.
Everybody's always waiting for LeNora to talk, and then they're like, "Okay, when is she going to stop talking?" Again, it's the child-free step-parent episode. Again, I don't know why this keeps coming into my mind, but it does. So I had recently read and reviewed a book from that was written by a child-free woman who found herself in a relationship with a man who had children, and it's called the girlfriend mom, and she became the girlfriend mom essentially, and she developed a relationship with his kids even after the relationship ended. And so looking back at that conversation we had, in our earlier episodes, and my attitude, like, step parent isn't child free, and I still believe that. But having talked to people that, are in relationships with someone who has a kid, and maybe they're technically not a step parent, but there is that, the kids are in their house a few times throughout the month and things like that. I think, again, learning empathy, learning that, okay, it's not all, being child-free is not, there's a lot of gray area. Personally, like, I don't, when I think child-free, that means no kids. You're not involved with someone who has kids. But I understand that there's that aspect of it too. And it's also how I feel about those who are childless by circumstance or child-free by circumstance. You know, those that did want kids can't have them, and now they choose to use the term child-free because they're like, well, no, we're not going to continue treatment, we're not going to continue adoption or whatever the case may be, but we're going to choose to be child-free. Like, there's that element too. I think for me, it's been a lot of listening to other people's stories and understanding, like, the reasonings behind their lifestyle choice, and that if they use child-free, it doesn't have to mean like they've never wanted to have kids. Like, I've kind of calmed down a bit. Again, the step-parent thing, or when you were a step-parent, you know, I'm still like, if you're legally listed as someone's mother, whether you birth them or not, you know, I don't consider that child-free, but I'll let that one go. But just, that is really, I'm evolving a bit with that.
Well, in my case, I have learned a lot of things in the show. By oldest year, during this year, I have learned a lot of things. I want to say that, for example, our episode with Laura Carroll was one of the most informative. Just in general, there were several things that she said that I hadn't actually thought of. But I think that the one thing that has been the most eye-opening has been the 2 episodes we've done with child-free men, because we hear a lot of child-free women. You know, we are the ones who get pregnant and give birth, and then normally the mother is the one who takes 80% care of the kid or whatever. The effort is seldom 50-50 between the 2 parents, if the kid has the 2 parents. So it was always this side of the conversation of, you know, child-free as a woman, and how we get bingoed and all this pressure, and also being told that as a woman, if you don't have any kids, you have no value. You might as well just kill yourself. And then having these 2 guys in the show, 2 very different guys as well, 2 very different child-free men, come talk to us. It opened up my mind to also how they perceive their own child freedom as men. So I think that for me has been the one that I can say now has been like the one that has enriched me the most.
And also when we had the couple on as well, we had the child-free couple. There was that.
Yeah.
You know,
Connie and Rife, but I think with them, they were talking about the perspective of them being child-free as a couple.
Right. Yeah. No, those were 2 really great episodes. I'm trying not to laugh so hard. You guys we're talking about child-free men. You're probably going to guess who I'm thinking of, who I'm not going to say the name of. Our infamous child-free guest.
Oh, let's not name him, but we can talk about it. I think it's interesting to tell.
No, I'm not going to say his name. But I was like, the minute you brought up child-free men, I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to laugh.
Well, he liked us until he discovered we weren't all antinatalist. I mean, he's very, very black and white when it comes to.
Well, and to me, that wasn't even the issue, because we had Amanda on the show, but it was the presentation that we had issue with, that we realized this is not really going to work out.
So our audience is listening to this, so don't get lost. What happened was we got contacted by this child-free guy who also is an antinatalist, and we were exchanging messages with him, and at some point we thought about inviting him to the show, and then we realized he wasn't a good fit. Yeah. That's politically correct. Okay.
And then we didn't ghost him, but we had to let him down, what we thought was gently, but it's probably responsible for any of the thumbs down we have on our YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure it's him. Well, we were ghosted by another one, a guest that actually didn't show. That's the only one that's never showed. Just fun fact for anyone watching that, yeah, we had one guest, a mother actually, big mother influencer, and she didn't show. So never heard.
Not even a note. Not, I mean,
Exactly, nothing.
Polite.
And this is, you know, I mean, when we talk about professionalism, and this is something that I've learned that has nothing to do with being child free, but just the technical aspect of doing podcasting and stuff. Like anything I do with, when it comes to child free content, like there is a level of professionalism that I always want to maintain. And the three of us are friends. Like, we didn't come into this knowing each other well. We were acquaintances at best, you know, like we just met, and kind of right away we talked about the business side of things first, and we're business partners, and friendships, you know, our relationship that way has evolved as we've continued to do this, but we are a business. I mean, you know, for better lack of a better term.
A partner.
So I approach it like when we're interacting with guests, like before getting things set up, like I want to make sure that we come off with, like, we're not just a fly by night podcast. Like, this actually means something, and we are, you know, building professional relationships. So that moment, and because she's someone that is an influencer and has kind of her own personal brand, I expected a bit more from her, because I've had to turn people down, or like I was invited to a podcast and it was rescheduled 3 times, and finally I was like, okay, like I can't keep doing that, and I said that, and that was it, and I never did anything more. But there, you know, there has to be, I don't know, when I don't receive it back, it annoys me, and then I go, okay, I'm not gonna follow through with this person if that's how we're being treated. Great, fine, next.
More than a business, I would say we're like a partnership.
Yeah.
And I think I completely agree with you. I mean, the least that a person can do, and it has for me, it's just basic human decency. If you're not going to show up, just send a message. And if you couldn't send it before because something really urgent came up and you were like, you know, rushing your kid to the hospital or whatever it was, because this woman is a mother, then afterwards you can send a message saying, I'm so sorry, I couldn't make it for so whatever. But to this day, we have not heard back from her.
No. And I stalked her Instagram story, and there was no emergency. Because after we realized,
if there's a mother emergency, she's going to talk about it.
Oh yeah, exactly, because that's part of her thing, and there wasn't. And I looked. Has there anything that comes to mind aside from our Halloween episode, but like any silly moment that we should mention that I haven't thought of, or anything that's like out of the order, like either before the episode aired or after? There's that one time, like you had to go really quickly after we had this one guest, and you're like, okay, bye, and then it was like done. Won't say the who, but that was really funny. It was just like, all right, gotta go.
Because at the end, it's so awkward because we're all sitting here with our little faces in boxes, and if it's just the 3 of us, we're like, okay, bye, we're all going. But if there's a guest, we kind of say goodbye, and then we wait for their face to disappear. And until their face disappears, we can't stop. Like, we're just kind of sitting here.
Yeah.
So there was that episode where the face just kept staying and staying because I think we didn't know how to leave. And so Isabel's like, boink, and just
yes.
moved out.
And there was also one where our guest was there like 15 minutes early, but she didn't come into frame for a while. And so we just were talking, knowing that she was probably listening, but she didn't show up until a little bit later. There was that. But I mean, what happens after, for anyone who wants to know, for what happens is after we finish recording, whether we have a guest or not, we officially end the episode, and then we do business chat afterwards. So yeah, when we had, like, we explained that to her when we did our big group episode. It's like, okay, here's the procedure. We're all going to kick you out now, and then we do our business stuff recording, because it's like, what do you do after? And that's what I learned. Luckily, I did Isabel's podcast before we started this, because I remember being so nervous when I came on your show, because I had no idea what to expect. I'd never used Zoom, so I'm like logging in 20 minutes early because I didn't want to be late, and I didn't know how it worked. And then afterwards, well, you told me, you're like, okay, just hang around. We'll say goodbye, but stay. and then we chatted for like 45 minutes afterwards. But yeah, it's awkward, the technical aspect of it, if you don't know. So you kind of have to. I like giving our guests, especially younger ones, like all the details. Like, here's how you log in and here's how you log off, and don't worry, we'll take care of this, because it's really kind of confusing if you don't know how to do it. So I like to give as much detail as possible to whoever's coming on, just out of courtesy, because I remember not having a clue what to expect. And then they're a little more relaxed when they get here. So
And that's another thing. Now that you mention, the guests that we've had on our show, I think we've been very, I hate the word blessed, but I can't come up with something different right now. But we have been very lucky to get all these amazing people come to our show. Even at the beginning, when we were like, nobody knew who we were.
yeah, but I give you credit though, Isabel, because you have already been networking with people. You have your podcast, but you went to the To Kid or Not to Kid premiere. Like, you've been in New York, and you are like hardcore networker, in my opinion, much more than I am. I mean, I'm learning the benefits of doing it, but you've really helped connect us with people. And the three of us do bring in our own connections as well. But especially at the beginning, your connections definitely helped us. And then also, though, I realized, Kristen, you've been doing the Childfree conversation for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you don't see. Side note, when you look at me like that in the face, I'm like, she's totally judging me for something. I know you're not.
Since 1902. I actually came before Marsha Drew Davis. I was. Oh, by the way, the name of the author who wrote the book about becoming a stepmother was Danny Alpert. I just want to say that, because if my book were mentioned without my name, I'd be so livid.
Okay, I wasn't sure what the protocol was. Sorry, I can't breathe right now. I've discovered you've been writing about this a lot longer than I have, for sure. So, it's the nice thing is that doing a collaboration, we bring in different people, and it's yeah.
There's another thing that I think is very important to mention. I mean, it's relevant because it is about our collaboration, and if somebody out there is thinking about doing a collaboration themselves, is to play with, people, everyone has different strengths. Just play with that. Like, let everyone be there. What's going on?
I have no idea. I'm finally calming down, so it's now Kristen's turn.
It's so hard to keep her. It's like she has the giggles or something, and she's trying really hard to stop doing it. And I'm just watching her face, and whenever she's trying not to laugh, I can't help it.
Hey, I was doing good. I got myself together. I just have that name in that voice going through my head right now, and it's hilarious.
This reminds me of that Childfree, the variety show special that we did. When
Our
we
first
started,
podcast?
we're like, we say hi, and then for whatever reason, Kristen just explodes like laughing, and we're all laughing, and nobody knew why we were laughing. And
That was the big pink wig episode. I remember that. Yeah, she just. That's the thing. I used to think. And again, this is not what I think now, but at the beginning, because I didn't know you guys that well, you both would be looking at me, and this just speaks to my own neuroses about neuroses about what people think. And I'm like, okay, I'm saying something so stupid right now because the expression on their faces, and Kristen gives the best judgmental look.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
For the screen. And so I remember I'd be stopping and thinking, what am I saying that makes them look at me like that? And that's just your faces. Like, it has nothing to do with anything. Yeah, I can't look at Kristen, but I do, because my eyes just go down to the bottom of the screen, and she's like looking at me and
judging, constantly judging.
Yes.
On this 1-year anniversary of Childfree Girls, we really want to thank you for being here, for being interested, for taking part in the conversation. It is for you. So you're kind of everything to us. So thank you.
yeah, thank you. If you have been with us since the beginning, or even just a week ago or a couple of days ago, thank you so much for giving us the time of, to listen to our podcast or to watch us on YouTube. And if you're commenting, thank you so much for the feedback. We really appreciate it. And we hope that you stick with us for more years to come.
To echo what Kristen said, and to echo what Isabel has said, Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch us, to listen to us, to comment, to participate in our social media, which has really gone beyond our expectations. So thank you so much. We love doing this show, and I'm going to speak for the three of us. We love doing this show. So all the support, all the shares, the likes, everything helps keep us going. So, you know, you can even rate us. We haven't asked you to do that, but hey, if you want to, that's available too. But thank you so much. You guys are the best audience. If you want to get in touch with us, our email is childfreegirls@gmail.com.
You can also find us in social media. We are practically everywhere, but most active on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're also on TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at Childfree Girls.
We're also on Amazon, and I want to mention Childfree Girls Comfort Food for Thought because I've seen a couple people now post screenshots of pages of the book that have meant something to them or said something that they probably maybe wish they would have said to somebody at the right time. I realize that anytime someone has a book that they're telling people about, it seems like that's just someone trying to sell a book. As someone who's been marketing her own books since about 2007, various books, I know that that's how it can come across. But when you're doing something that means something, you hope not just to you, but to other people, when you're producing something that you really want to help somebody, I mean, it's only $1.99 because that's pretty much the lowest Amazon will allow us to price it. You could give it away for free. Well, we also have costs. We have a website, we have a podcast we have to pay for. So we're not trying to make money with it though. That's not the purpose of it. We put everything in there and it's just, I mean, it's so short, but it's so full of anything I think you could want to hear or read if you have any kind of insecurities or fears or even resentments about being child-free and how people have treated you or talked to you or pressured you. It's even for if you know somebody who has those feelings, it's good for them. And it's not you talking at them. It's not someone they know preaching at them. It's words and it's stuff that's not even all ours. I mean, these are ideas that we have accumulated through the years of our own experience being child-free. We quote people like Laura Carroll and Therese and Maxine Trump, and you know, we take the wisdom of others and incorporate it into that book. And there's also really good recipes from LeNora's kitchen for you to eat.
Pizza.
While you're reading.
You can make pizza.
So yeah, we're also on Amazon. Childfree Girls Comfort Food for Thought. It's both an ebook and a paperback. Take your pick, check it out. Oh, and we have a question for you. Even though this is an anniversary episode, I think that we should have a question. Is there an episode that you have seen that has either taught you something or changed a judgment, a previously held judgment? Is there an episode you've seen in which one of us said something you really think we shouldn't have? Is there an episode you have seen that there was some other questions? Any of the questions we ask ourselves, I kind of want to ask you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. No, you say bye.
No, you say bye.
Oh my God, I'm leaving.
You leave first.
I'm going.
Bye.
Bye.